How about the tight end position? You don't have it listed on here, but that was a position where we had one of those major knee injuries at the start of the season last year in the second game of the year.
We did.
What kind of depth do you have there right
now?
Well,
we got Mark Rogers, who Mark stepped in for Colin Boone after the injury and played quite a bit.
Yeah.
Mark's a very talented young man. He's only going to be a redshirt sophomore for us, so he's going to be pretty young. And then we signed a tight end. We got Jared Bennerman right now that's competing right there a little bit. And then even Joe Lofton. Joe Lofton was a slot receiver and still is. But Joe is strong enough and big enough to where we can slide him down there if we needed to.
Okay.
And, in this offense, we'll go from a tight end to five wides.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mark Rogers is a guy that we can probably move around a little bit from the backfield.
Looks like he's a bowling ball type guy.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big, strong guy.
I give him a hard time, telling him, hey, man, please don't go home and eat your mother's cooking because it's too good. You're gonna be a guard here before you know it.
All right, let's look at the offense where we spoke. Really, when you highlight what we spoke about the offense, some depth at the offensive line that wasn't here last year.
Correct.
Great competition at quarterback this year. Some wide receivers who are really stepping up, and some nice depth that'll be ready for you at the start of the fall campaign at the running back position.
Yeah, we really only lose about 2 starters if you look at 3. In Colin Boone, because he got hurt so early last year, it's hard to count him as that. The quarterback position, and then Obadiah Dykes, who's out there split end, which is where we kind of got Tony and them battling. So, really, you're losing 2 to 3 positions right there. Everybody else is returning starters. With that offensive line, if we can keep them healthy, having the most experience right there. So, offense side of the ball, we're excited because we didn't lose a whole lot.
Yeah, Obadiah gone. He's getting to play in that Ohio-Michigan All-Star game. He's just a good kid. He was always a pleasure to get a chance to talk to.
Yeah, he's a great young man. Wish him well. I don't think he's gotten on anywhere yet. He was hoping to get on somewhere as a free agency, and he'll know more after the draft, I'm sure.
All right, defensive side of the ball, Coach. Let's start with the linebackers.
Yeah, one of our outside linebacker positions, we got Byron McCorkle, who played a lot for us last year, was a really good player. As the season went on, he got wore down just a little bit. He's worked really hard in the offseason, and I think he's gained a little bit of weight, but not as drastically as some of the others. But McCorkle has come a long way from when I first got here.
Okay.
McCorkle is a very good football player. He is one that's bought into the defensive scheme of things, and the kid can fly around and make some plays. Well, we got a redshirt freshman behind him, Terry Harper, and Terry Harper was recruited by Toledo, Alcorn, some of those places, and decided, what? I want to go somewhere and be the man. And as a true freshman for spring practice purposes, he showed us that a few times.
Really?
I mean, Terry's a good 240 pounds. And he's a thick body guy who, when he shoots the gap, it's hard to stop.
Sounds like he causes a lot of trouble.
He can. He definitely can. So we're excited to get him on the field finally and be able to coach him. I know Coach Eisen's having a lot of fun with these linebackers because we have so much depth there. So those 2 right there are battling out for one of the outside positions. And then, inside, we already talked about Josh Pribble. We all know what a good player he is. But we got Jesse Stout, who's behind him. And Jesse stepped in last year when Pribble was injured. Yeah. And actually played a lot as a true freshman. I think he started the last 5 games for us.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and Jesse's got a knack for the ball too. And both those guys are exactly what you want at Mike linebacker. Guys that have a nose for the football and are always around it. And, Jesse, it'll be nice to have another 8 weeks in the summer, when they're here for summer school, and lift him with the strength coach again with Jesse because, he can use the additional pounds. I think he's, right around 210 right now.
Okay.
And in the GLIAC, you better have the middle linebackers more like 230.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, and then on the other side, we got Kyle Finch, who we all know is just a playmaker for us.
He could probably use a few more pounds too, I bet.
He could, but I just don't know if he's going to get it. Kyle's a lot of fun to be around, Coach. Great personality. And, hey, he's an overachiever. He really is. He's just one of those guys who's going to find a way to get it done. When you look at him on the field, I know opponents look at him and say, hey, we're going to attack that linebacker right there. And, hey, they might get the best of him here and there, but at the end of the day, I promise you, Kyle's going to have the best of them.
We called his name so much more than I anticipated last year. Because from the press box, he doesn't look real big out there.
Right.
But then, once a guy like that starts making a play here, a play there, a play here, boy, you really start to take notice. And we were saying his name quite a bit last year.
He had some clutch interceptions last year. I mean, just some big plays, And hey, there was a lot of very successful linebackers that weren't but 5'8", 5'9".
Oh, yeah.
Sam Mills and some of those guys.
Oh, Sam Mills, that's a perfect example. He might not even been 5'8".
He might not.
No.
But no, don't let Kyle's size fool you. Now, Kyle he's a power lifter. I mean, don't let his size fool you. He's a strong joker now, and he's one of the guys in the weight room. Coach Eisen lets show the example of the lifts and stuff because he's just so big and strong. And so Kyle out there at the outside position. Then behind him we got two young guys, and Kyle Yoder. You probably remember the name Yoder. He scooped up that blocked PAT for McKendree. And took it back, whatever it was. 80-something yards for the score.
Yeah, I got those 3 big blocks down the sideline. I remember that, absolutely.
Yoder's gotten bigger in the offseason too, and he plays an outside linebacker position and is competing right there with Finch. And then Mitch Crayley from Dublin Coffin, we redshirted him a year ago, which did him a lot of good. He was a safety in high school, but kind of a big physical type safety and can run very well. So we moved him down to that outside linebacker position. And we expect good things out of Mitch in the future.
All right, and then let's move to the defensive backs, where again it looks like you have some depth here as well. We've used the word depth. I don't think we used the word depth once before the season last year.
No, we haven't. We haven't. Knock on wood, we keep everybody healthy. We've got that finally. But defensively, we returned 9 starters. So you can't beat that. That's great.
And your defense improved greatly, as we said, from week 1 to week 10 last year. So
they'll only get better.
Absolutely.
But the secondary is a lot of fun right now. We talked about Stephon Willis a little bit from Firestone. Came in and started the last 6 games for us and became an honorable mention player. He returned an interception against Lake Erie for 80 yards. He's had a touchdown return. I mean, he's an electric player that can do a lot, and he's so rangy. But behind him, we got Justin Hernstein from Bucyrus, and Justin is a guy that played last year as a freshman for us, and has had a great offseason. He's probably gained about 20 pounds himself since entering into college, and Justin's 6'4", probably 210, 215 right now. He's going to be a really good free safety for us.
Excellent.
So we got 2 guys right there that I feel can play. Then at the strong safety position, then we got Brandon Person, who looks like a linebacker.
Yes, he does.
Oh my gosh!
Absolutely.
I watched Brandon Person bench 365, and I just
that's a safety.
As a safety,
wow.
I couldn't believe it. And he's a young man that doesn't know how strong he is. You watch him do the lift, and he's sitting there going, "Well, coach, you think I should put more on?" I don't know how to feel to you. You know what I mean?
So if you think you should, then maybe you should.
No, Person is a lot of fun to be around too. Great young man. And I'll tell you what, he is. You don't want him filling that alley because he can hurt you. We like to jaw back and forth on the practice field a little bit. He keeps asking me, Coach Goff, why are you throwing away from me? How come you never throw at me? Because, Brandon, you hurt people.
We got to be healthy for Saturday.
Right. But no, and then we got Trey Scott, another Dublin Kaufman kid that, he redshirted for us last year. Trey's a lot like Stephon Willis. He's a rangy kid that he just needs a little bit more experience. As he becomes a little more confident in the defense and his responsibilities and what he's doing, he's going to be a really good football player because he's got all the tools. And, Trey Scott was highly recruited by everybody in the conference. And so we're excited to have him back there. We just, need to groom him a little bit. And then at corner, we know we got a lot of weapons right there at corner. We got Carlton Watkins, who is a machine. He's a machine in the weight room. He's made some big plays for us. We got Antonio Edders going to be our senior with Tim Lewis. Those guys are
Lewis got a lot of minutes for you last year as well.
He did. Both those guys can fly and are physical corners. And then we got a newcomer in here, Wayne Storr. Wayne Storr was a walk-on for us that if he continues to improve like he has been, he'll be a young man we'll be talking about money with. He is he's a good player right now. He's had a great spring. Wow. So we feel like we're too deep right there, and that's not counting the guys that we've signed.
Well, and you speak of like a Wayne Storr, a walk-on. Something about those kids that seek you out. They want to come play football. They want to come. I want to do what you're doing. There's something special about those kids.
Well, we've got several good stories like that. And obviously, hey, Wayne Hatton, he's got to finish spring strong.
Yes.
But he's on that path. He's made some really good plays for us. But Dustin Craig, he started 2 years for us at center. And there's a young man that was a preferred walk-on, got here, won the job, and we gave a scholarship to after that first season. And has been worth every penny. So, it's good to see some guys that have bought into the program as walk-ons and have worked really hard to earn that scholarship money. And hey, that's what D2 football is about right there. We
talked a lot about your depth here, and we really haven't even spoke about any of the kids you brought in your recruiting class. And that's even more out of depth.
No question. Going into this recruiting class, we said, hey, we need some receivers and we need some D-linemen. Other than that, we felt like we were pretty solid everywhere else. But with that being said, Caleb Miller is a guy we got down from the Dayton area that he's probably going to push one of these corners. I mean, Caleb's a track star. He's a big physical guy, and as a true freshman, he'll come in and compete because he's got that kind of ability. And these last 2 recruiting classes, we've really felt like we've gotten great kids in here, not only academically but athletically. And you always want to try to out-recruit what you have.
Oh, sure.
So if we continue recruiting, the way we had these last 2 recruiting classes, hey, it's only going to get, harder and harder for some of these guys that are already here. Hold on to their job. They got to work. And like we stated at the very beginning, competition breeds success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody, you look over your shoulder and that guy's itching to get out there on the field where you're at, buddy. You better perform.
Well, it's funny, too, Jesse Bray is a receiver we signed from Wayne. And trust me, every one of our receivers has already watched his highlight film multiple times.
Yep.
Oh, they've told me, Coach, that Jesse guy's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he is.
Right.
All right, Coach, let's step aside, take our final break of the program, and believe it or not, we're going to come back and maybe talk a little bit about some Major League Baseball, as well as Tiffin University Dragon football. This is the Gary Goff Show. You're listening to WTTF Cool FM 93.3 and WTTF.com. We'll be right back after this.